Ladies and gentlemen, hello. I am Sato, the CFO. Today, thank you very much for sparing your time from your busy schedules to be here. We very much appreciate your attendance. Today, we are also going to present the midterm plan progress. I will be presenting that part as well. Please look at page 2 on the deck titled TechnoPro Group Financial Results for Fiscal Year ended June 2018. First of all, on page 2, FY2018 Overview. In terms of the revenue, versus last year, the revenue is up by 16.4% at 116.529 billion yen. The operating profit is up by 16.5% at 11.2 billion yen. The net profit is up by 10.1% at 8.498 billion yen. This is how we ended the fiscal year 2018. On February 2nd, we guided you with an upward revision of our full year numbers. That number is on the very right side of this chart, but we have exceeded all of these numbers as a result. Furthermore, in March, we increased our shares by 2 million shares. Based on this, the per share net profit, earning per share, the EPS, is 244.81 yen. This, too, has exceeded the number that we have presented to you on February 2nd, before we'd issued those stocks. So therefore, regarding the dividend, the full year numbers are 120 yen for the full year. As for the payout ratio, because we increased the shares, if we calculate it per share, we will have some skew in the numbers. So therefore, we took the net profit, and the full year total dividend was divided by the net profit. That's why the payout ratio is 50%. On page 3, this is new information to you. We are disclosing this today. We are very proactive in M&A activities, and because of that, our business model, our corporate business model, is becoming a bit complicated. It is not just staffing business, engineer staffing business anymore. We have some different characteristics in our business profile. So although this is just managerial basis, we are going to disclose our earnings information by each line of business. So that creates 4 units, one of which is the original business that we've had, the engineering staffing business, TechnoPro and TechnoPro Construction. The second unit is the acquired companies, the domestic companies that we have acquired. TechnoPro Career also is the small referral company, and 2 overseas companies, one being TechnoPro China that we've had originally, our China headquarters, and also the one we acquired in March, Helios Technologies from March. The 4th unit is TechnoPro Holdings and the consolidated adjustments. For TechnoPro Holdings, this one includes the corporate staff functions, for example, HR, accounting, finance, and also shared service, for example, training and education, etc. These are the functions under THD, TechnoPro Holdings. So as you can see, revenue and operating are shown on these charts. But other than that, we have the number of engineers on the bottom. And also we have the non-Japanese number of engineers, utilization rate, sales per head. For the 7 domestic companies, we have number of engineers. But the business model is different, so we don't think it is appropriate to calculate the sales per head because we are using outsourced resources as well. For the 2 overseas companies, we have the number of engineers, overseas engineers disclosed in the bottom rank. Please skip to page 5. This is where we disclose the P&L structure. In terms of revenue, we have some of the reasons why the revenue is up. Impact of engineer increase, 11.1 billion yen. Impact of unit sales price increase. This is the two original engineer staffing business. This is up by 0.6 billion. And also the 5 contribution M&A companies, 4.6 billion yen. Now, something that is not written here is the operating contribution from this 4.6 billion. The amount is 370 million yen of operating profit contribution within the M&A companies in FY 2018. Now, the gross profit looks like it's up by 1.9 points. This is, well, we've explained this to you in the quarterly sessions, and that is because of the account classification change, and the detailed impact is shown on the bottom left of this slide. So impact of account classification change for gross profit is 0.7 points. The second one is impact of utilization rate, which went up, and I will explain this in more detail. And the third reason is other reasons other than engineer staffing. For example, the Boyd and Moore's, PC Assist, education, disabled people's education. This has very high gross profit, above 40%, and that's why these are contributing by 0.8 points to the gross profit. Next, looking at the SG&A line, as I mentioned earlier, there's also the impact of account classification change, 0.7 points, and others. Others is described on the very bottom left of this slide. It's the hiring expensive, training education expenses, and also the IT system investment, which we will talk about in the midterm plan, and the 5 M&A companies that we did. It includes TOKUO as well, which will be consolidated from next fiscal year. And also because of the M&A, we have the amortization of the intangible assets as well. These are all included in the others under SG&A. For corporate income taxes, I'd like to make a comment, finally. So up until quarter 3, we were at around 24.8% for corporate tax rate, we have said. But ultimately, for the full year, we landed at 23.8%. And the reason is because we were able to apply and have become eligible for a system called tax credits for salary growth. And because of this, we have 1 point improvement in the corporate tax rate. And the next year, we're not going to get this at all. If you're a large entity, you're not going to get the tax credit for salary growth 2 years in a row. So we're not going to have it next year, but this year it has given us a benefit. Please look at slide 6, which shows the balance sheet. It is quite self-explanatory. Let me point at the goodwill, which is up by 4.9 billion yen due to the 5 M&A companies. We have the asset. The actual asset is much bigger, but we have the intangible assets, PPA, the purchase price allocation, because most of the assets are customers. And IFRS, under the IFRS rule, it tells us that this needs to be amortized, so that we have 2.3 billion yen of this, including the ones from the past. Therefore, this fiscal year, the intangible asset is 2.9 billion yen. And also, on June 29th, we announced TOKUO, the acquisition of TOKUO. This company will be consolidated from next fiscal year, so that is not included. TOKUO is not consolidated into these numbers. For the total equity, we have the details in the statement of changes in consolidated equity in your flash financial result document. That is a document that describes it very well. Now, Helios, we acquired 51% of Helios, 49%. The current CEO still owns 49% of Helios, but there's a 5-year contract. So they have a put option. So evaluating this put option at 3 billion yen, up to and it has been shifted to long-term accrued payment. So because of that, if you look at the statement of changes in consolidated equity, all of these details are described there. So please read the flash financial survey. Moving on to slide 7. This is the domestic business, the number of engineers, and utilization rate. This includes the Delta, PROBIZMO, TechnoLive, and the 2 original engineer staffing business. As of the end of June, we have total engineers on payroll at 16,797 engineers. 756 of them are non-Japanese engineers. I've mentioned this at the Tokyo Stock Exchange. 756 foreign engineers. This is very rare. Probably we are the only company that has such a high ratio of non-Japanese engineers. The average utilization rate was 95.7%. That's 0.4 points better than last year. This is the reason why the P&L has changed, as I explained in the previous chart. So when you look at the domestic engineers, and then we have 869 engineers that we employed outside of Japan, 269 China, Singapore, India. It's Helios, so 573 engineers from there.
It is about recruitment and turnover. Here, we have to extend our apology at this moment. In the past, we had calculations, and in the turnover figures in the past had been confounded with the number of fixed-term employees. So we looked back into one whole year, and we had some revisions for the quarterly figures, and the revision had been about 0.1%. So accordingly, there has been no change in terms of trends, but allow us to express our apology and please accept the new figures. And for the new hires, the figure was the 8.8%, and that's 8.1%, and the last year it was 7.9%. And then in the entire Japan, the figure was much higher. So the situation here is much better in this company. Moving on to page 9. Assigned engineers by technology. Please refer to the pie chart. So we are able to see the figures compared with the previous year. So maybe you are able to take a look at it and see the trend. And for all the technology areas, we have seen the number of assigned engineers. Especially noteworthy was a strong demand for IT engineers and software. And also in green, construction was increased. So I have explained this in the past, and we have made the training center or technology center in Hachioji, Neos, Osaka. So that means that the people were able to get trainings, so they are able to become the skilled engineers. That's the reason why construction has also revived. Skipping one page, we would like you to go to page 11. This is about unit sales price. So the unit sales price increased. It was the 630,000 yen, which is an increase of 3,900 yen, and which is up by 0.6%. There has been some misspelling. This is the decrease of 1.1 day. This is not by month. And then this is the 1.1 day of the working day reduction has been there. So based on that, there has been a decrease of 6,000 yen per month year over year. And you can see the figures for shift up and charge up. And then excluding these, you see the price increase of engineers on assignment, and it says 1.9%. Maybe, well, this might not be convincing. until three quarter, it was 1.7%. And I said to myself, why is it? And I looked into this. Then this was based on the revenue. And then we just used the figures of the number of engineers and the revenues. And then in 2017, the April last year, the figures for these the new graduates had been accounted for 3 months, April, May, and June, and then the figures unit price for last year new grads. 554 of them have been included for the entire year this time. So this might be too misleading. So we decided to have one more line, which is a price increase of engineers on assignment. But this is based on the comparison of the unit price at the end of the period and the corresponding period last year. For example, in the case of the end of December, we make a comparison between this year and last year. So this way, we are able to understand the actual comparison. So this is a simple apple-to-apple comparison. This would be the true the reflection of the actual figure situation. So that's what we are seeing now, and we can safely say that the figure of the increase of the engineers on assignment has been 3% rather than 1.9%. So we started the disclosure of the management unit, and also at the same time we are hiring a large number of new graduates. So from now on, we'd like to continue using the chart that you are seeing in the bottom, which is based on the comparison of the unit price at the end of the period and the corresponding period last year. Moving on to page 12, thanks to your support, we were able to complete the new share issuance of the 2 million shares in March. So there is more room for the future borrowing. With this stronger financial foundation, we are able to have the stronger and swift M&As. We like to express our sincere appreciation to all of you. So, as was mentioned, EPS based on the average number of outstanding shares during the period, it was this year, and it was higher than the guidance. Lastly, I'd like to touch upon the next year. Well, in other words, I'd like to share with you the guidance for fiscal year 2019. Please refer to the blue lines. For revenue, we expect to see increase of 15.9%, which is under 35 billion. Operating profit would rise by 20.1%, the 13.5 billion yen, with the corporate tax rate of 33%. We absorb this, and then net profit would be 8.9 billion yen, with increase of 4.7%. And net profit per share would be 245 yen. So the next year's the dividend per share would be 123 yen. Then the prerequisite for that would be the number of engineers, which is over the 18,000, and the utilization rate would be around 95% to 96%. So we have some range. So I have been saying, and also Nishio has been saying, and the guidance is a commitment. Moving on to the next page. Dividend forecast, interim dividend would be 50 yen, so year-end dividend is 73 yen. So that's the explanation for the financial standing. Moving on.
I would like to give you the update of the midterm plan. We apologize again for Mr. Nishio, CEO Nishio's absence. Deep apologies, and I would like to present this on behalf of him. But please be assured that I myself is involved directly in business strategy, M&A, information system, and business management as well. So please don't hesitate to ask me questions. Now, first of all, let's review what we've been saying in our midterm plan. This is what we've mentioned last year in July. This is what we have announced. A midterm plan that covers 5 years. what I mentioned when we presented this is that after 3 years, there is a possibility that we might revise this midterm management plan according to circumstances or operating environments. Please look at page 2. This is also a review of what we presented at that time. We were saying as of the year ending June 22, the sales will be more than 160 billion, operating profit will be more than 17 billion yen, net profit will be more than 11 billion yen, and ROE will stay at 20% or more. This was the plan that we projected. Please look at page 3. This is the growth strategy that we have. 4 points were mentioned. Number 1, stable growth in core business. Number 2, shift towards higher added value. Number 3, globalization. And number 4, moving towards IT technology, moving towards building a platform, utilizing IT. And also, we were talking about using 20 billion yen for M&A activities. This is what we've mentioned, and also we said that we will continue to invest proactively for growth in the future, to have a healthy financial situation, and also make sure we have a good balance in the balance sheet. We will commit to 10% dividend on equity as well. This is what we committed to. Page 4. This is the midterm plan. Only 1 year has passed since we launched this plan, but we already have this progress. The left one is the midterm plan itself. But if you remember the guidance that I presented earlier for the fiscal year ending June 19, the numbers that I mentioned is pretty much similar to the number FY June 20 in the midterm plan, which means we are progressing a year earlier. Please look at page 5. Again, this is the report of the progress. Regarding M&A and alliance, we have 4 strategies that I mentioned earlier. You can see how they are related. So you can look at this matrix, but we know that we're not going to do M&A just for the sake of doing M&A. That's why we need to make sure we have a very good organization, a strong foundation to pursue the benefit out of the M&A. That's why to enhance this framework, we have hired people from outside to create a new business division called Affiliate Business Department under my responsibility, and also another division called Global Business Promotion Department, also to enhance M&A, to strengthen management, to strengthen business growth, business development. So we are setting up our organization so that we can get the best out of our M&A. We have acquired 5 companies last fiscal year. The impact next fiscal year will be 11 billion yen approximately. EBITDA, 1.2 billion yen is written here. But revenue, operating profit would be approximately 800 million yen or less. Allow me to mention one point here. You acquire a company, but it doesn't start growing the moment you acquire it. That basically does not happen because we tend to acquire mid-sized companies. So under the management of a bigger company and also governance, we need to spend expenses to include the company into our organization, and we do focus on that. But in the previous fiscal year, although these M&As have only contributed for a few months, from this fiscal year, June 19, it will contribute for the full 12 months. That's why we project these numbers that you see on the bottom of slide 5. Page 6. Please turn to page 6. I would like to explain each point one by one. First of all, stable growth in core business. And this is the review of what I mentioned last year. Now, please turn to the next page.
Page 7. In the period in 2018, fiscal year 2018, we acquired 2 companies. We have been using the term acquisition hiring. So there have been 2 companies, namely Delta and TechnoLive. These companies have been acquired, and Delta had 240 engineers, and the Technolive had the 170 engineers in different fields. On top of that, this is not M&A per se, but we have been receiving the business lines from the companies in the same business. So we acquired IT help desk business from the system engineer staffing company based in Yokohama. And also, we acquired network business from a system operator based in Ehime. These are the kind of things we have been doing. So this has been incorporated into the hiring box. So on the 1st of October, we will have the coming into effect of the law for the dispatch, human resources dispatch or staffing. And also, in order to increase in new grads and enhance talent development, in April 2018, we were able to hire 889 new graduates, which is an increase of 355 year-on-year. And we were able to have the placement of 100% of them, which means that demand level is really high. And then, on top of that, we have what we call Win School, which is the PC Assist, and we are establishing the training courses. So the training has been completed. Page 8, which is the shift toward higher added value. Last year, I talked about this, showing this page 8. Then moving on to page 9. Then in this fiscal year, what have been done? First is the M&A. We had acquired 2 companies. One is PROBIZMO. So this is it operates the IT-related contracting business based in the places, and we have 120 engineers. And then TechnoPro, on the right-hand side, has been announced just recently. So this company has not been reflected onto these financial figures, so they will come on board next year, and we believe that it will promote diversification and value added to building construction supervision, the main service in construction area, and the revenue is 700 million yen, and the operating profit will be 70 million yen. And this is not included in in last year's financial statements. And then, in terms of alliances, we have Alberto, and this has been working on the promotion of data scientists. They do have many data scientists, and they have announced the collaboration with Toyota, and they trained 80 data scientists so far. And then we made an announcement of the investment in O2 Group, and we are making the joint investment with the bank affiliated investment funds, and more than half of the 250 million yen invested has been made by ourselves. So this is meant for the consulting services, solution businesses. Next is page 10, which is globalization. As was mentioned earlier, we have the 756 non-Japanese engineers working in Japan. But on top of that, we are planning to expand it to 1,500 within this midterm business plan by the year 2022. In the past, there had been many engineers working in China, but now we see increase of the engineers working in Philippines and Vietnam, and also in Taiwan and South Korea. Looking at the current figures, we have many people coming from Myanmar, South Korea, and also India. So that means that, we are dispatching to these places. And then the Helios Technologies, they are the headquarters in Singapore. We acquired this company. And then next is Boyd & Moore. This is the high-end talent search company, mainly in IT companies based in Tokyo, India, and Singapore. And for the unit, for the unit, the disclosure, they are included in domestic revenues, but in terms of the nationality of the engineers, they should be placed here for the globalization. They are headquartered in India, Hyderabad in the Helios, in Boydenboer, in Pune. This is close to Mumbai. When I say India, in terms of the number of engineers and also in terms of the growth potential of the economy from the viewpoint of our customers in Japan, it is quite attractive. So that's the reason why we have been doing things in order to have a promotion in the future. And then the next one is the formation of the platforms utilizing IT. So the starting point is to promote HR services to meet companies and individuals' needs with the promotion of the IT. So this way we are able to look into the supply chain in the human resources. So this way it is possible to have the systematic approaches using IT about the hiring starting April 2018. We have been working on the pilot company, and the implementation has been done in the pilot company. And then looking into the left-hand side, we have introduced LMS to all officers and employees. So we try to centralize training and application approval and record management. This has been already done. And now we are in the process of coming up with the e-learning processes, the training courses. Then in the center, you have the analysis engine and individual portals. And you might question as to what it really is. And so we look into the profile of the engineers, so including their aptitude. So we try to look into the analysis to understand how we are able to use it. For example, we could have the hiring standard, the model. We do have the recruiters, and they are able to work on this, but we could enter the past experiences or resume, and then this way we are able to have the hiring standard, and also we could have the turnover projection. So we have their working hours, the data, and also the kind of the days off for them. So maybe we are able to have the turnover projection and also the leader's aptitude model. So these are the kind of things we have been doing. This is based on trial and error. So in these areas, we make investment from the money that we funded from the market, and I think it will be of a major contribution to what we do. Moving on to page 12, which is the future outlook. As was mentioned, the fiscal year 2020 target is to be almost achieved 1 year ahead of plan. Based on the progress, we may be able to revise the medium-term management plan at the fiscal year 2019 earnings meeting. With that, I'd like to close my presentation.